Kobe Bryant was the same, and Michael Jordan. The greats are all the same. They just work obsessively. This was in 84.
Wow.
And I'm like, a psychologist in football?
Yeah.
Psychology is just for mad people. I come up with this plan to have Team Murray, which at the time, no tennis player had teams.
Story worth sharing, which is your time working with West Ham, and in particular, actually, Carlos Tevez.
That was a fantastic period.
For salespeople, rejection is a big part of what they hear on a day-to-day. It's a profession in which you hear no 9 times out of 10.
And you're making those calls and you're getting 9 no's out of 10. You go, okay, I'm going to set today, I'm going to receive 100 no's. Those 2 yeses could bring in a really good contract. It becomes so irrelevant.
The one
that you've lost,
yeah.
Or the 10 you've lost,
yes, yeah,
or the 50 you've lost, because
Yeah.
you go, I can still win. The only thing that's important is what I'm doing right now. This shot, this phone call, this sales lead, whatever.
yeah.
That's the focus. That's the difference between high performers and the rest.
Welcome to Sales Rewritten, the #1 podcast for sellers. No buzzwords, no fake hustle, just straight talk about what it really takes to succeed in sales. My name is Alex Wood, and each week I sit down with the movers and shakers, the folks who have lived the highs and lows of sales. Today's guest is Roberto Forzoni, a performance psychologist and keynote speaker who spent 30 plus years working with world-class athletes and teams. He's coached everyone from Grand Slam winner Andy Murray, heavyweight boxing champion Derek Chisora, and Premier League football teams to boot. Away from sports, he's also helped leading execs in the corporate world figure out how to perform when the pressure's really on. This episode is all about taking what works in elite sport and applying it to sales and business. So let's get on into it. Roberto, welcome to our podcast first and foremost. It's great to have you in the studio.
Great to be here. Thanks, Alex.
When someone asks you what you do for a living, how do you describe it?
I'm a performance psychologist and a keynote speaker. And in terms of the performance psychology, I help teams, individuals perform better when the pressure's on or when it matters. And it always matters. So I'm always busy with performers, execs, businesses, taking lessons from sport into business or just helping sports people perform to their best. My mantra is actually feel better, perform better. So it's a bit of a holistic approach as well.
Now, we've got a lot of ground to cover on today's episode. And obviously, our first guest, who isn't strictly speaking from the world of sales, but so many life lessons, I think, that you'll be able to share that should hopefully help some of our listeners in the world that they live. So it probably makes sense that we kind of start with where things got going for you. You mentioned you are a performance psychologist, but you started as a qualified football coach. Is that right?
Yeah, I was coaching at Crystal Palace with Steve Coppell. And then Steve brought me to Brentford as first team coach and to Brighton. So my experience, my background was always football. Before that, I'd coached at non-league level. And I was just keen to learn everything I could. So I went on every FA course. I did the fitness diploma, the coaching courses, the psychology diploma. And when I was at Brentford, decided to do a master's in sports sciences. And I'd go back to the club every day and go, Steve, this new thing about fitness, we should try it. And it made no difference. I go, this is the new nutrition guidelines. Let's try it. Chuck out all that and bring all, and it didn't make a difference. But the psychology, we'd go, I done this in psychology today. Can we try it? And it made a difference straight away. And it was like, I was scratching my head going, that can't work that quickly. Because everything else, the nutrition, the fitness was long term. But the psychology, you can change people's mindset in an instant. So I become accredited as a sports psychologist purely to help my football coaching, and then got invited to other clubs to do sports psychology on its own, which was quite funny.
So have you always been someone then who's, I guess, open-minded about modern approaches to the things you do? For you, it was coaching.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm always learning. But the spark started in the 80s, probably before you were born. I spoke Tottenham, and it was 2 matches that really changed the way I thought. It was 81. Spurs played Liverpool. I was at the game. 100,000 people at Wembley, the old Wembley. You were standing up, singing and everything. Liverpool were champions of Europe.
Okay.
And Spurs went 1-0 up. Steve Archibald scored 11 minutes. And I thought we could beat the European champions. 3 minutes before the game finished, 87th minute, Ronnie Whelan scores for Liverpool, equalise. The Spurs players just collapsed.
Really?
And you knew extra time it weren't going to go well. We lost 3-1.
Okay.
2 years later, we get to the Cup Winners' Cup final. I say we. Tottenham
Spurs.
got to the Cup Winners' Cup final. Same team, except one player, Ray Clements, England's goalkeeper, got injured before the match. So they didn't have big superstar reserve keepers back then. They bring in the kid from the youth team, Tony Parks, for the Cup Winners' Cup final. It goes the same way, 1-1 after extra time. Oh. But this time the players just huddled around each other. And I was like, that's a bit different from last time.
Yeah.
And we win the game on penalties. Tony Parks, the rookie, saves 2 penalties. The next day in a paper, the sort of secret weapons revealed. Keith Birkinshaw was the manager, brought in John Sire, a psychologist. This was in 84.
Wow.
And I'm like, a psychologist in football?
Yeah.
Psychology is just for mad people.
Must have been one of the few clubs, I'm assuming, doing this.
Absolutely, yeah. Never heard of it before. And 85, he released a book called Team Spirit, which I bought. And it just transformed the way I thought about team dynamics, psychology, and the impact it had. Because I'm looking at the same set of players, the same result, and a completely different outcome. Not just outcome, but the body language of the players, the energy was just like, one was there and one was there. Sort of before and after. Something, what is this psychology
It's transformational.
Stuff?
And you've seen it then firsthand. So that's you as a fan, is it?
That was me as a fan. And then I'd done a diploma in sports psychology. Yeah. And I always was interested in the psychological aspects. But as I say, it was always to enhance my coaching ability. Because my first love is coaching football. And when I got accredited, or going through the accreditation period, the governing body said you can't just coach one sport if you want to be a sports psychologist. So my daughters were playing tennis. I ended up going to the high performance centre, offering my services for free just to get some tennis experience. From there, was invited to work with the English Institute of Sport with Olympians. And ironically, the LTA were looking for a psychologist. Because I was working in football, it sort of had this ring. He's experienced, he knows what he's doing. And they offered me the national psychology manager for the LTA. So everything's really moved quickly at the beginning. And it wasn't just quick moving, it was with Premier League teams and national treasures in terms of tennis. So, it moved quick.
Because working with different athletes, different sports, different disciplines must also present its own unique challenges. I'm assuming what works in one particular team or with one particular athlete, you can't just rinse and repeat. I'm assuming there's a unique set of challenges and circumstances you have to mold to.
Yeah, I think there are always unique set of circumstances, individual sports, team sports, different individuals. But the crazy thing, I think, when you know the substance, the evidence and the science behind performance, and there was lots of theories I came across that I still use today, every day. So self-determination theory talks about competence, autonomy, relatedness. For psychological well-being, this is a human need.
Yeah.
So Bandura's theory of self-efficacy, self-confidence, where does confidence come from? It comes from doing these 4 things. So you think, well, if that's the case, I can use that with everybody. So the principles and I would say the foundations are the same wherever you go. So that makes it easier because you can go to a sport you don't understand and still benefit someone by changing their mindset.
Yeah.
So the principles were the same. Obviously, the dynamics and the practical day-to-day things would change depending on where you worked, who you worked with.
So I want to dig into the football then, just for a moment, because that sounds like that's where you started to apply psychology in your work and at some of the teams you were working with. What was the uptake or the response?
I thought initially the response would be negative, but because I came from it from a coaching perspective. So I wasn't an outsider coming in saying we're going to do psych. You're doing coaching every day. And people like Steve Coppell were great psychologists.
Yeah.
Alex Ferguson, Mourinho.
Yes.
Mourinho studied sports sciences. Wenger was the same. Arrigo Sacchi, who I worked with, the Italian manager, he was the same. They all studied sports sciences because they wanted to know what makes people tick, how can they get the best out of performers in terms of physical, technical, tactical, and psychological. So coming from within was a great source of help for me. And a great example, one player one day, we're in pre-season at Brentford and we're running around, and I used to do all the sort of coaching before Steve jumped in for the last sessions. He said to me, aren't you a sports psychologist as well as a coach? And I went, yeah. He said, when are we going to start doing the sports psych? I said, we're doing it every day.
Right.
And it was like, wow, I didn't realise. I thought sports psych was we're all going to sit down and talk about our past and all that.
I'm assuming you're not stood in front of them in a white lab coat, you know, pulling on the rubber gloves and saying, right, this is how this is how we do it. So it's small elements, small tweaks, small things that I guess do you have to observe as well from them what their characters and their traits are for you to work on?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, different people, you know, different objectives. We went away once when I was with Palace, and Alan Smith had taken over from Steve Coppell as manager. We go to Spain for a training camp, and Alan Smith says, go in and speak to the lads, because a lot of young players here, Hayden Mullins, Clinton Morrison, Leon McKenzie, just come in from the youth team into the first team.
Right.
He said, ask about their aspirations, their goals. And we just signed Razor Ruddock from Liverpool.
Right.
He was at the end of his career.
Iconic player,
yeah. Iconic. Big name, big character. I mean, a massive character.
Yeah.
But he was at the... saying he was at the tail end of his career then is generous, okay? Yeah. But he's in the room, and I go in, I get all the lads around, and I say, lad, what are your goals for this season? What's your aspirations? And Razor Ruddock went, goals? That's a load of bollocks. He said, it's just the next game that counts. So I've got all these young players looking at me going, Razor Ruddock saying it's a load of bollocks, and you, Mr. Psych, lesson learned, go to Brentford, and I think instead of asking about the aspirations, get the top 3 or 4 key players, the captain, vice captain, bring them in saying, what do you want to achieve this year? So they're going, we want to do this, we want to do that. So team meetings, completely different, because I go into the team meeting, right, lads, your captain wants to achieve this year. The vice captain said this. Can we do it? You know, and you sort of set your objectives, but there's complete buy-in because all the young players, well, if the captain said this is the way to go. So yeah, different dynamics, different players, different take on the psych. And also, modern day players will take it on board a lot more than players, say, 20 years ago. Or what we'd say is, old school players.
Do you find, in your opinion at least, the appetite for psychology as a tool for increased, performance or a small marginal gain is far greater from modern players, modern sports people than it was 10, 20 years ago?
Absolutely.
Okay. And you're mentioning and talking about goals, and I think that's super relevant for our audience. Would you have any advice, thinking as an individual first and foremost, around goal setting? What's really important to focus on?
There's a lot of good research on goal setting in sport, which can be transferred to business and particularly sales. So in sport, we look at 3 types of goals: outcome goals, performance goals, process goals. Outcome goals are the numbers. We need to achieve this. We want to get into Europe. We want to win the league. We want to get promotion. That's an outcome goal.
Yeah.
Performance goals is about the numbers. So in football terms, how many crosses you might get in, how many shots on target. Slightly more within your control. The most important goal is a process goal. What do you do every day to improve your performance? So golfer might be how many swings he takes. A tennis player, how many times he hits. Footballer, repetition. Keep practicing free kicks, for example. I'll practice free kicks. That process will lead to better performance goals, will give you the best chance to achieve your outcome goals. But it's where your focus lies that's important. If your focus is on the outcome goal, you get all the pressure. I must win. I've got to do this. I've got to achieve that. And you're not focusing on the numbers, the performance, and most importantly, the process. So the top players are always process orientated, process focused every day. There's a great acronym, WIN. You want to win, what's important now? So what's important right now? Okay, I pick up the phone. I make that call.
Yes.
Get the rejection. What's important now? Just pick up the phone, make the call, for example.
Yeah.
So it's not pick up the phone, got the rejection. Spend a half hour thinking, I've got rejection. I can't make another call. Like a tennis player misses a shot. Can't spend 10 minutes thinking about the missed shot. They do. If you can get over that very quickly, the only thing that's important is what I'm doing right now. This shot, this phone call, this sales lead, whatever.
Yeah.
That's the focus. That's the difference between high performers and the rest.
You're right. For salespeople, rejection is a big part of what they hear on a day-to-day. It's a profession in which you hear no.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10. And it's that one yes that leads to a meeting, that leads to a deal, that, sets that in motion and helps you reach those outcomes. So for an industry and a profession that is so geared around no and rejection, do you have any particular tips or insights that might help someone who's starting out, for example, who is in a position where they have to call 500 people this week?
Yeah, I think a big part of it is an awareness, and there's a great analogy with tennis players. So I speak to a tennis player who's national player, and I say, how many points do you play in a match? And they're like, not really sure. And you think, surely you must know. You're a national player, been playing for, say, 10 years. You don't know on average how many points you play. So say it's 150 in a match, average. How many points do you win? How many do you lose? Probably 50-50 overall. So you're losing 75 points in a match. And you could win or lose, but you could lose 75 points on average. If you're going to get disappointed with that, I always say, it probably go to 80 or 90 points because you're thinking about the point you just lost. If you say you lose a point and go, all right, I've got 74 to go, I can lose and I can still win this match.
Yeah.
You lose another point, go, it's all right, I've still got 73.
Yeah.
And it's like, it becomes so irrelevant.
The one
that you've lost, or the 10 you've lost.
Yes. Yeah.
Or the 50 you've lost, because you go, I can still win.
Yeah.
So people used to say to me, I want to play like John McEnroe, fiery and shouting and screaming. But they can't get over it quickly.
Yes.
So they might argue about a point, they might scream and shout. John McEnroe could do all that and then all of a sudden stop and focus on the next point. And you're making those calls and you're getting 9 no's out of 10. You go, okay, I'm going to set today, I'm going to receive 100 no's. Those 2 yeses could bring in a really good contract.
Yeah.
So, almost a game. Yeah, there's another no, there's another no. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
I still haven't found that yes yet. And you keep going. Good players keep going to find that yes.
Yes.
And, that's a great, I suppose, analogy with salespeople. Just keep going until you find the yes.
And is there something in as well, and this can relate to both your experience in sport and for those who are listening who are in sales, about actually learning from the no's as well? So as opposed to just letting them wash over you and not focusing too much or getting them down, but is there scope within this to look at those no's and learn why?
Yeah, there's a great routine in tennis. It's called the 3 R's. And this is after a point. Release, review, reset. So release tension. You could scream, you can shout, you've won a point. Release it, yeah, great. You've lost a point. Oh no, that was terrible. Review. So as you're going to the back of the court, review, why did you win that point? Why did you lose a point? Then reset, come back out. So there's that feedback constantly going on. So tennis, 150 points, 150 times. You're not forgetting the point.
No.
You're giving yourself some feedback. Why did it happen? Because if you're going to keep repeating the same mistake,
you're not going to improve.
You're not going to improve. So yeah, it's that constant ability to say, why did it go wrong? And can I improve it this time?
You've worked with some names, obviously, not just in tennis, but I'm going to ask about that specifically right now, because I know you've worked with Andy Murray, or certainly implemented a team around him, or set that up in a way that perhaps was common in football, but wasn't so much.
That was a great
tennis.
example, because I became Andy's psychologist in 2007. I think he was 20, 21, and he was working with Brad Gilbert. Now, Brad Gilbert, I don't know if you know, wrote a great book called Winning Ugly. That was a seminal book. Every sports team used to read it.
Okay.
Every coach wanted to read it because it was like, winning ugly. What does that mean?
Yeah.
You don't have to play pretty football. You don't have to play pretty, but you want to win.
Yes.
So you can win ugly as well. So I remember the LTA said to Andy, you can have any coach in the world. Who do you want to have? And he went, I'll have Brad Gilbert. So they bankrolled it for Andy. So Brad Gilbert, this big brash American guy who's written this book. He becomes Andy's coach, 3-year contract. So one of the first tournaments, or major tournaments, was US Open. And one of the heads of the LTA said, Andy's not getting on that well with Brad.
Mm-hmm.
We signed him on a 3-year contract with huge money.
Okay. And this is what, quite early on?
This was, 2007.
But early in the contract as well?
Yeah, early in the contract. This was like probably 3 months into the
3 years.
contract, into a 3-year contract. So he said, "You got to sort this out because
it's on you."
Yeah, we're in for a lot of money." And I said, "Well, that's not really my job to sort out. If they don't get on, they don't get on. I'm not going to try and make them get on." But I was working at West Ham at the time, and you go away with a football team. There's like 5 or 6 staff. The managers there, the coaches there, the physios. In tennis, they were going away most of the time with their coach. Other times, like James Ward and Bogdanovic at the time were number 2 and number 3 in the country, they'd go away with no one. I'm like, how does that work?
Yeah.
Which I always found from a football background, it's like ironic. So I remember thinking, well, the LTA have got a bit of money. They'll finance whatever. So I come up with this plan to have Team Murray, which at the time, no tennis player had teams. So I remember being on the plane going out to meet Brad Gilbert, and I was worried. I thought, this guy, he's going to roast me.
He's going to say, blow a top, isn't he?
We don't need a psychologist. We just need to work. So I'm on the plane, and there was a guy called Andy. He was a lovely guy. He was a physio for Andy Murray, and he was on the plane. I said, Andy, what do you think of this, Team Murray? He said, yeah, I think it's quite good. So it was a hitting buddy, a coach, a fitness guy, a physio, psychologist, and a friend. So, Andy, why don't you travel with a team? I got to America and I said to Andy, New York, I said, Andy, I've got this proposal. See, what do you think of it? He said, yeah, I quite like that. So I mean, great. Brad's safe. So anyway, I met Brad for the first time. We had a meal, just me, Brad, and one of the directors at the LTA. And Brad was the nicest guy ever.
Okay. Much to your surprise?
Much to my surprise.
Quick pause, because this links directly to what we've just been talking about. If you work in sales, a big part of your week is spent fixing data in your CRM that should already be right. And that's exactly why the best sales reps are using Surfe. It helps you find accurate emails and phone numbers, add contacts directly to your CRM, and add highly targeted lead lists without jumping between tools. You can sign up for free today and start prospecting immediately. So if your job is to sell, Surfe helps you do exactly that. How would you characterize Andy Murray's mindset when it came to working with him as a psychologist?
Fantastic. He's brilliant. Absolutely first class, I mean, you can't win a Grand Slam and not have a great mindset in sport.
Yeah.
I mean, obsessive. And these super players in any sport are obsessed about what they do.
Yeah.
Obsessed about practicing and rehearsal and preparation. I haven't got a bad word about Andy.
No.
His anger got the better of him sometimes on court. Yeah. So that was something we had to work on, but it never quite dissipated. He never quite got to the level where he was the Djokovic or the Federer, where the anger was very measured and controlled.
Yeah.
You'd have the outburst, but you'd get back to where you needed to be when you need to be there very quickly.
I want to quickly ask you about language, which is something that I know you're quite big on in terms of words and vocabulary and the impact certain words can have on your mindset, your way of thinking. And I'd maybe just try and tie this back into the kind of corporate setting, especially one in sales, where there are certain phrases and certain words that are probably used every single day. But maybe first and foremost, talk to us about language, why it really matters.
I think the words you use frequently or even infrequently can affect what you're thinking and therefore your behavior. So you think something, you feel it, you behave in a certain way. So I'll give you an example. A tennis player might make a shot, hits the net. Parents on the side, unlucky. Go, no, we're unlucky. That was bad technique. So you say to the player, unlucky. What do they do?
Yeah.
they go back and go, oh,
No,
bad luck.
Yeah. Couldn't do anything about that, yeah.
Nothing to do with bad luck. Unlucky would have been if the shot came in and a fox had run across and knocked it on his head. But if you have a shot and you've skied it, that's not unlucky. That's bad technique.
Yeah.
So why not call it as it is? Because unlucky means I can't do anything about it. It was luck. Bad technique means, oh, what do I have to do to get it right? I should have got over the ball. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. So you tell us a young tennis player, unlucky when and I pull parents up all the time. Unlucky.
Yeah.
And the kid goes, oh, it was unlucky. No, you didn't get under the ball. You didn't put enough topspin on. So how are you going to improve it?
Yeah.
And a manager might say, this used to rile me. It's a must-win game today, lads. Go, well, why? Because the only must-win game is the last game of the season when you have to win, like we did at Man United, West Ham. We had to win.
I'm going to ask you about that.
Man United. We had to win to stay up. So that's a must-win game. Tennis, the must-win point is the only must-win point is the last one because every other point is irrelevant. Tennis hasn't got a time limit. It's the last point that wins. So players say, oh, it's a big point. He's lost a big point. You've got to win this point. So what happens if a manager says must-win game and you lose it? What's next week going?
Yeah.
Is that a must-win game?
Yeah.
Because then in the end, the players go, oh, fuck, last week was a must-win game, we lost.
Yeah. So it kind of cheapens the meaning of
absolutely
place. I mean, I interpreted that as more as surely every game is must-win. If you work in a results business, surely you have to go in there and win the match. And so calling it must-win is almost redundant. You don't go to set up and lose.
You don't. But I think you've got to be realistic as well. So in sales, you're going to have those figures. And you can't say I must close every deal because you're going to be so disappointed 9 times out of 10 because you must win. But if you say to yourself, if I do the right things and I'm really well prepared, the chances are I'll close 1 deal out of 10, for example.
Yeah.
Not I will, because if you don't, huge disappointment again. But chances are, based on history, based on my knowledge, I'll close 1 deal in 10. So you work as hard as you can to do that. The harder you work, you might close 2 deals out of 10. So I would never say it's a must-win game, a must-win point, unless it is.
Categorically is, yeah. Like the game rests on
because
this, yeah.
You're putting unnecessary pressure on yourself. So another example, I'm in the dressing room, Brentford. I won't say the manager's name, but and it wasn't Steve. I put on some list of targets. So it was like crosses against, for example, shots against. No more than 5 crosses against in the first half, no more than 3 shots against us. We want to have 5 shots against them. So these were performance targets. Manager came in and goes, 0 crosses against us and 0 shots. I'm like, well, that's absolutely, totally unrealistic.
Yeah.
First minute of the game, they get a crossing and a shot. We haven't achieved our objective because they were so unrealistic. So, it's important what you say to players and teams to get their mindset in the right place at the right time. Why do you want to disappoint someone by setting unrealistic goals? Why do you want to put unnecessary pressure? Or why do you want to give someone feedback that's totally illogical? That was bad luck. So, language is so important to me.
It's so important, especially for someone who's young and learning and in their career and taking those first steps. That feedback that they get from a manager can really shape your outlook or your tomorrow.
Managers are so important what they say. And the difficulty with managers is normally they've got nowhere to go. They can't say to someone in the club, do you think I did that well?
Yeah.
Because it belittles their perceived superiority in some way. And that's why it's nice when I go in, because I can challenge a manager. Curbishley would say to me, and I had it with Pardew, Steve Coppell, what was the halftime talk like? Do you think I was too harsh on them? And he just wanted some feedback because you never get it.
Yeah.
You never get it. Because what happens as well, and I saw this with Team Murray, people are scared to speak out if something's going wrong because they want to be part of that team. And if they speak out, sometimes the performer will say,
place
you're off the team because how dare you question me? But you need people that challenge. And the privilege of being a performance psychologist, that's your job. So I've worked with some great managers who want that feedback. Steve said to me once, he said, 99 things out of 100 that you tell me I'll ignore and I won't do. And I remember feeling really offended. But then it dawned on me, because he said, please keep giving me the feedback though.
Yeah.
Because
still give me the 100.
Yeah, give me the 100, because the one thing that I do take on board could make a massive difference.
Yeah.
And then I felt great, because you could say something to a manager, why don't you do this or do, and they ignore you and you feel bad. But now Steve had given me permission to, and told me he's not going to take on a lot of what I say, but please keep giving me the information. What a nice place to be.
You mentioned Curbishley, and if I've got it right, West Ham links with him there, which was another of the teams that you had the pleasure of working at. And we talked about this before coming on the podcast, and I feel like it's a story worth sharing, which is your time working with West Ham, and in particular, actually, Carlos Tevez.
So the story is, I walk in and the kit man said, you're wasting your time. He goes, you can't help us this year because we're down.
Really?
And I mean, everybody said they were down.
Even the kit man is saying
the
that.
Kit man.
Wow.
Everybody's, they're down. So there's 10 games to go at the time. And so I said to Curbishley, I'll go in, I'll speak to the players, no staff, because I want them to be really open. And they're going to ask for some changes. You got to change whatever they say, if it's reasonable.
Yeah.
So lads, give me 3 things that you want changed. So they give me the top 3 things.
Okay.
And I go in to see the manager. And the manager's like this. I walk into the office. I swear he's like this. He goes, they're not having me, are they? And I went, well, they're not happy with everything. There's a few things I've asked to change. I said, these 3 things. So the players are looking at me like, how the hell did you do that? But that wasn't what changed it. What changed it? When the players were moaning about everything, Dean Ashton put his hand up and he said, tell you why things are going wrong. What's that, Dean? He went, players here are unprofessional. I was like, I thought he was going to get beaten up.
Yeah.
That's some big egos and big players.
Yeah.
Whoa. And then Lee Bowyer, who joined from Newcastle. Now, I don't know if you remember, Lee Bowyer had a fight on the pitch with Kieran Dyer.
I remember this. Yeah.
So he's joined West Ham the following season. And he said, lads, the only reason I joined you is last year you're fighting for everything. This year you're not fighting for anything. And then Carlos Tevez, who was there, hadn't scored a goal in 19, by the way, put his hand up and through his interpreter said, why were you in there moaning? Why are we not out there practicing for the game tomorrow?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm thinking, that is just, I couldn't have expected it to go any better. These 3 players have identified what's wrong. Not professional enough, not working hard enough, not prepared. Anyway, we go out, training session, and then at the end of the session, typical of a high performer, most of the players or all the players go. Carlos wants to stay out to practice free kicks. So he said to me, we'll have a game, see who can hit the bar from around the box. So I'm like, sounds good to me.
Yeah,
World Cup star, And I actually won the game. Which was great, yeah.
Got any proof of this?
No proof, no recording. But I remember the players and the staff looking out, probably thinking, what's Carlos doing? Just hitting this ball against the bar. We're all ready to go. Next day against Tottenham, free kick. So he's put the ball down on the edge of the box. And in my talk, I've got the video, showed it yesterday, of the free kick. Now, Curbishley wanted to drop him because he hadn't scored in 19 games. But he said, I can't drop him because he's a fan's favourite.
Yeah.
His attitude was unbelievable, wanted to win. So hadn't scored in 19 games, puts the ball down for this free kick. And the staff are looking at me going, he was doing this yesterday for like half an hour after training. Top corner, scores his first goal. The crowd's gone mad.
I bet you were among them, weren't you?
Yeah, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. And then he goes on to score 7 in the last 9 games.
It was an iconic run. Again, for anyone who maybe isn't a football fan, this was a time where, like you say, West Ham were down. He as a player hasn't scored in how many games? 19. And then, like you say, goes on this crazy run.
Yeah.
Keeps him up.
Keeps them up.
Yeah.
On the last game of the season, we go to Old Trafford, we got to win.
That's it.
Another funny story, Ronaldo's on the bench.
For Man United?
Yeah. And we're going down the tunnel at half-time. There's me and Ronaldo next to each other. And I went to him, Cristiano, stay on the bench for us today. We need to win. He said, I'm coming on with 20 minutes to go. I've already been told. So, bloody hell. Anyway, Carlos scores a goal. We win 1-0. And the other results win in our favour as well. We were 15th. And we won, I set a target of 15 points for those last 9 games. That wouldn't have kept us up. We got 21 points.
Wow.
We won 7 games out of 9. The win percent was 78%. Before that, it was 23%. So 78% is Champions League form.
Yeah. It's for
Same
a team.
So this is what I said right at the beginning, psychology, how it can change things quickly. We didn't have any time. We had to change things in an instant.
Yeah.
And it was all clearly hard work. And the manager, he went up in my estimation during those games, gave me a great contract for the following season to stay with the club. But it changed because the psychology changed.
Yeah.
We set some real good outcome performance goals, but we worked on the process.
Yeah.
The process goals. So, in terms of sales, this is a great lesson. When things are going really badly, just refocus, set your goals, be realistic, and work on the preparation and the performance. And you don't know where it's going to lead. There it led to an absolute miracle, which was fantastic.
You mentioned one of probably the most iconic players as well as a rival, Cristiano Ronaldo, back in that period. Are there any players or sports people that you've not had the chance to work with, but you look at and think, I'd love. Who's on your list?
Yeah, Michael Jordan.
Oh, okay. I mean,
Kobe Bryant.
Oh, wow.
And Cristiano.
Wow.
In terms of, we talk about sacrifice in sport.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not sacrifices you make, it's choices. You want to do that, you choose not to do that. So, these people, Ronaldo says, there's one interview, he had a book, he said, there's the manual on how I got to where I got to. You can have it. I'll tell you everything I do, but I know you ain't going to do it.
Yeah.
You ain't going to go to the gym and train as hard as me, as much as me.
Yeah.
And Kobe Bryant was the same, and Michael Jordan. The greats are all the same.
Yeah.
They just work obsessively.
It's obsessive.
To achieve. And they make the right choices. They don't go out when they shouldn't go out. They don't do the wrong things. They eat well, they sleep, they train, they prepare really well.
A lot of sales, certainly when you're entry level, you'll be in a role where you're an IC, you're an individual contributor. So you'll have a number or target attached to you. And as you progress into perhaps more management roles, or if you become an account exec, there are people reporting into you and you are part of a team, or there might well be a responsibility to others. There's a switch there, it feels like to me, from individual thinking, but then to a team way of thinking. Do you have any advice around how successful people, whether it's sport or whether it's business, approach that?
I think if everyone in an organisation had that approach of what can I do? Brendan Rodgers, there was in this book, The Manager, he talks about, he sees people and he sees a thing on their head and it says, make me feel important. So when he approaches someone, his outlook was, how can I make this player feel important? How can I make them feel important? And it's not just sucking up to people. It's like, what can I do to help them?
Yeah.
And that's a great approach.
Yeah.
So, so I suppose if you move up that ladder, it's what can I do to help the people around me and do the best I can.
And one other question as well about another of the sports that you've stepped into, and I appreciate we've only got a limited amount of time here left, but one particular sportsman in Derek Chisora.
Yeah.
Again, for anyone who doesn't necessarily follow the world of boxing, British heavyweight champion. I think he's retired now, if I'm not mistaken, but had a long career, only recently.
Unbelievable career,
retired. But one thing that I think most people will probably associate with him is a showman. Big, brash. His press conferences were theatre, in many ways to sell his fights. But you had an opportunity to work with him.
That was a really funny week. So I get a call from a mum. She said, can you help my daughter? She's got a tennis tournament coming up. Yeah, where's she playing? It's like local tennis club. Yeah. And then another mum phones me. She goes, you got to help my son. He's a player at Dulwich Hamlet, not getting in the first team, wants to be a professional, 16. And then a woman phones up, can you help my husband? He's got a fight coming up. And I was like, what's the fight?
Yeah.
Thinking another one of these parents who really want a kid. Oh, it's the World Heavyweight Boxing Championship. So I'm like,
Hey?
sorry. Did you say World Heavyweight Boxing Championship? She goes, yeah, against Tyson Fury. You know, my husband's got to fight him. I was like,
Wow.
is this a wind-up or is this?
Yeah.
So anyway, I start looking at all the Derek Chisora interviews, trying to get a bit of a sense of what this guy was. And I saw this pre-match press conferences where he's picked up the table.
That's it.
And
the
he's
table.
thrown the table. And I'm like, fuck, this guy's crazy, you know. And I've got to go and see him and get him ready to fight Tyson Fury. A fight, by the way, he was number 9 on the list. 8 contenders said they didn't want to fight him.
Wow.
They said it wouldn't go more than 2 rounds. So I go to Derek's house and I sit down and talk to him. He's got his 2 lovely children running around. He's hugging them. And we have a talk for an hour. And I'm thinking, this isn't the guy that I see on the videos.
Yeah.
I'm almost thinking, is it a twin brother or is it somebody else? Am I being wound up here? Camera's going to come out?
Yeah.
Anyway, no, it was him. I remember saying after about 90 minutes we were just chatting.
Yeah.
I said, Derek, nothing like I thought you'd be. He went, it's showbiz. So one thing he did say, which was funny, he said, when I go out, I got to be the bad man. So I said, so you're walking in the street, a young kid comes up and asks for your autograph. Would you give it? No. God, I had this persona.
Oh, really?
So I thought, strange. I said, you could change that kid's life. No, I'd be, I'm a bad man. Anyway, a week later, I think it's a Saturday morning. He's called me, said, can you meet me in Mayfair? I said, I've got something on today. Can I meet you tomorrow? He said, no, I need to meet you today. Okay, so I go to Mayfair. I get there. I'm going around Hanover Square. I go, where do you park, Derek? He goes, I park anywhere I want. I said, what do you mean you park anywhere? He had a smart car, right? He had a number of big cars, but he was driving his smart car. He's got his number plate on. He said, they don't give me tickets unless it's a new traffic warden who don't know me. So anyway, I'll get me parking ticket and I go, and we're walking around. And these kids are coming up. Derek, Mr. Chisora, can we have an interview? Yeah, of course. And he's signing everything.
Oh, he is, did it? Okay.
And I'm like, we're walking down Burlington Arcade. And I said, I thought you didn't sign. He said, yeah, well.
I don't know.
So there was another side of him. And he was a real nice guy. I mean, top guy.
What struck me about that story is that's someone who, as you say, adopts a persona for the showbiz, for the cameras. In the world of sales, it's not uncommon for some people to almost adopt a similar persona, that they are different when they're having to do cold outreach, when they're having to just do the dialing, when they're having to get you on that phone and stay on that phone and be energetic and all these things. And it's not uncommon. I know I used to work with a few salespeople who actually had a different name they would go by, and for them, they said it not only kept who they were private effectively, but it allowed them to really lean into a character. So is there something to be said about that in terms of psychologically becoming someone else?
Firstly, I think you should be yourself. I think you should not try to be somebody else. But what I would say is, and I see this in different professions, some people get really confident in certain situations. And that confidence comes from being prepared for that particular scenario. So someone could be really confident because they're really well prepared, picking up the phone, talking to people, acting with bravado, integrity, humility, put the phone down. But in a social situation, they haven't got that bravado. They're more introvert. So I see that a lot. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So you can put on your sales. I'm a salesperson now. I'm Mr. Confident. I'm going to go in. I'm not going to get put off by the no's and the rejections. I've got a basic script I work to. I understand people. And there's a great philosophy of fish. Have you read Fish, the book?
No, I don't know. We've had a lot of good book recommendations on this one today, actually, to be fair. Okay, Fish.
Fish is a great book. It talks about the fish market in Seattle. And there's this girl, she's in a local business and she's trying to get the team to work together. And they're really dysfunctional. And she goes to this fish market every day, and the guys get up at 4:00 in the morning, and they're at 11 o'clock. They're throwing fish around, and they're really happy. So she calls the manager. It's a great fable. It's got a great story.
Yeah.
There's a big movement on this, and she gets the manager. How come you guys are so engaged and energetic every day. I can't get this team in the office to give anything.
Yeah.
So he says there's 4 things we do. First thing, choose your attitude. We choose to have a good attitude because we get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, we could be really up. Be present. So if you come to my stand, I'm going to be present with you. I'm not on the phone. I'm not doing I'm present. Make their day. How am I going to make your day? Well, you can make someone's day just by saying hello and smiling to them.
Yeah.
And the last one was have fun. So there was 4 principles of this fish philosophy, which empower organizations and teams to work more effectively. So you're doing these calls, you can go, right, I'm going to choose my attitude.
Yeah.
And my attitude is going to be good. Another great saying, some people light the room up when they come in, others light it up when they go out. You go, who do you want to be? I want to be the person that lights it up when I come in. Choose your attitude. Be present. So when you're on the phone making that call, you are totally actively listening to what they're saying. You haven't just got your script to go, he said something, I'm just going to go into this.
Yeah.
You just missed a golden nugget that could have got you in.
Yeah.
Make their day. Do something nice for them. So maybe less pressure, more it's about you. And, sometimes have some fun with it as well.
Yeah.
So don't take it too seriously.
Great framework. Very much something you could apply almost in any walk of life,
Any
right?
walk of life.
But I always like to finish just by getting a sense of what's next for our guests.
I love working with people, love helping people, and I love learning. And I'm constantly looking at new ways to get good messages across and get people engaged with things that will improve their life. So it's much of the same, always learning, can't learn enough, and just carrying on having fun with it as well.
Fantastic. Well, we are at time here on the podcast, here on Sales Rewritten. It's been such a great conversation, though. So, Roberto, just want to say a huge thank you.
Thank you
for coming in and for doing this with us today. Folks, that is it for today's episode of Sales Rewritten. A huge thanks to Roberto for coming in and sharing his story. Don't forget to give him a follow on LinkedIn. And of course, listening to this, if you've enjoyed the episode today, don't forget to give us a good rating wherever you are listening, whether it's on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or elsewhere. I'm Alex Wood. Thank you so much for listening. And don't forget, good sales isn't about closing faster. It's about showing up smarter. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. Before you go, one last thing. This show is all about helping you sell better, and that starts with better prospecting. Surfe helps you find emails and phone numbers, keep your CRM up to date, and move leads into your workflows without admin getting in the way. You can start for free and use it immediately after this podcast, or upgrade to a paid plan when your team is ready to scale. If you want prospecting to take less time and deliver better results, Surfe is built exactly for that purpose. Visit surfe.com to sign up for free today and start prospecting immediately.